This comes from Clay Travis, Democrat candidate for Congress in Tennessee, says men can give birth too. Vote Matt for Tennessee if you have a functional brain. And I believe today, possibly tomorrow, is the last day for early voting. If you happen to live in the central Tennessee area, you better get out and vote, man, or else you're gonna have this lady. She's gonna be representing you if you don't go out and vote. You got to vote for Matt. Vote for Matt Van Epps for Congress. And anyway, so let's give this a play. See what she says.
I think as an organizer and as an activist, like, we really have an opportunity here in this.
Oh yeah, by the way, she's an activist. She's a social worker. I can't remember exactly which college. I heard somewhere like which university she went to, but I think it was one of those woke universities.
To talk about what type of progressive policies we want to see as young women. And I think we have, as birther, as women who can give birth, men and women who can give birth, we could maybe leverage that as collective bargaining, which is the basis of this
book. She might be representing you, Tennessee.
I've just started
Better go vote.
Called Birth Strike, and how we can really leverage collective bargaining when it comes to having children in this country. And so, for example, like, I'm not going to give birth until the United States government concedes ABCD. What do you think about that?
It seems
I think you're a lunatic.
Much.
That's what I think. Oh my God, these people are psychotic. Absolutely deranged, absolutely ridiculous and crazy. Also she made a comment like a while back, I think it was like in 2023, where she said that she detested Nashville. She hated living in Nashville, something along those lines. So this comes from RNC Research. Democrats go all in on far left lunatic Aftyn Behn. In a newly resurfaced podcast episode from 2020, far left lunatic Aftyn Behn, the Democrat nominee for the special election in Tennessee's 7th Congressional District, said that she thinks men can give birth. All right, yeah, here, this is what I was looking for. So they got some bullet points. This is just the latest of Behn's long list of insane views and radical statements that have come to light. She said she hates Nashville, the city she's running to represent. She smeared Tennessee and its voters as racist. She called the state godforsaken and said she was always someone who wanted to get out of East Tennessee. If they're talking about the conversation that I played on yesterday's episode, at least as far as I heard, it was technically her mother who said that Tennessee was godforsaken. She was essentially repeating what her mother told her in a conversation that they had. Like, she didn't live in Tennessee at the time. She told her mom she wanted to move back to Tennessee and run for Congress. And her mom was like, why would you move back to that godforsaken place? So anyway, so she wants to defund and abolish the police. She endorsed burning down police stations. These are all links, by the way. You could click on any of these, and I'll repost this if you want to check it out. There's a link to my profile in the description. Repeatedly refused to condemn her past comments about the police. She live streamed herself harassing ICE agents. She reacted to the Covenant school shooting where 6 people were murdered by a transgender shooter by saying she was concerned about the impact the shooting would have on transgender people. She pushed for training programs that teach people how to perform abortions at home. She smeared President Trump and his voters as racist, white supremacists, bigots, and fascists. She said Southern sororities are a staple of white supremacy. She bragged, quote, I get away with a lot because I'm white, end quote. And she promised to silence Republicans. So, yeah, I mean, again, these are all, let me see. So, harassing ICE agents. She live streamed. Okay, yeah, I already showed that one. That was about a week ago when I played that on Swamp, but not familiar with this one, the Covenant school shooting. All right, Democrat Aftyn Behn said Covenant school shooting made her fearful for trans communities. November 24th, so this was just yesterday. Said trans violence inspired her to fight the far-right narrative that is being emanated by Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire. Guess my reading's a little off-key tonight. In the aftermath of the deadly 2023 shooting at Tennessee's Covenant School, in which a transgender-identifying shooter killed 6 at the Christian school, Democrat Aftyn Behn said that her sympathies were with the transgender community, not with the children. To hell with the children, according to her. She's like, I don't care about the children. I only care about the transgendos. That's all I care about. I only care about transgender. All right. I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, here we go. So anyway, Ben, now running to represent the Nashville area in Congress, said the aftermath of the shooting was incredibly upsetting for her family because of the anger directed at the trans communities. So for those of you who don't know, my partner has a trans son. in the month of April and the final week of March was incredibly upsetting for us. I wonder how old her trans son is. I bet like, what, 7, maybe 6 years old? Wouldn't surprise me. Again, this is who you're going to have representing you if you don't go out and vote. Behn said in a July 31st, 2023 candidate forum just months after the massacre, quote, in the wake of the Covenant shooting and the disclosure that the Covenant shooter was trans, I was pulled into a chat with other trans organizers and activists across the state that were fearful of their lives. Let's see. Behn also said the shooting inspired her to run for office to fight every day for protections for trans kids in our trans communities. She said she was specifically inspired to fight back against the Daily Wire and specifically Daily Wire host Matt Walsh because the company is based in Nashville. Every legislative session, I promised to carry a trans Bill of Rights so that we can push back against the far-right narrative that's being emanated by Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire, who have set up their home in Nashville. I promised to do that, and I promised to fight for the trans community. This is how Democrat Aftyn Behn responded to the Covenant shooting when a trans-identifying woman killed 6 at the Christian school. Let's give this a listen.
For those of you who don't know, my partner has a trans son, and the month of April and the final week of March was incredibly upsetting for us. In the wake of the Covenant shooting and the disclosure that the Covenant shooter was trans, I was pulled into a chat with other trans organizers and activists across the state that were fearful of their lives. We identified threats from white-wing groups that they would show up at these Trans Day of Visibility events and threatening our trans kids. And so I had a snapped moment where I decided we need more people talking about the protections for trans kids in our trans communities at the legislature every day. The first thing I would do is I want to reiterate my first bill, which is to curb the expanded state surveillance of our trans community. 2, the state is
I would love to hear what laws on the books that authorizes the state of Tennessee to conduct surveillance on transgender people.
They're criminalizing mutual aid funds. And for those of you who don't work directly with mutual aid funds, this is a primary monetary channel that a lot of trans community members use to pay bills. And so the state intends to fully go after that so that they cut off any resources for trans folks. And third, every legislative session, I promised.
Yeah, I would love to know how many trans people is in this district that she's running for. Like literally how many? Is it like 55% of her entire constituency?
To carry a trans Bill of Rights so that we could push back against the far-right narrative that is being emanated by Matt Walsh. And
the far-right Matt Walsh.
Set up their home in Nashville. And I promised to do that. I promised to fight for our trans community.
Oh, he's so bad, so evil. All right, so I got a couple of questions. So let me pose these here real quick. So what was it? Aftyn Behn, right? Aftyn. Is that how she spells her name? AFT. Yeah, actually, let me just do this. Oh, well, maybe not. All right, so let me do this first, and then I'm going to ask to see what... All right, so hold on. So running current partner, Chris Coleman, share home in the 5 Points neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I'm assuming they're roughly the same age. I'm just trying to... I'm trying to figure out, is this child, this transgender child or a son or whatever? I don't even know what she said. Like my partner has a transgender child. Okay. Over 18, under the age of 10. I don't know. I'm not going to probe that deep into it to figure that out. But all right, so let me do one more. I'm just curious as to the population because she's representing a large district in Nashville, but she only talks about the transgender issues, it seems. So I would just be curious to know, like, what percentage would identify as trans. So the statewide baseline in Tennessee, an estimated 0.81% of the population age 13 and older identifies as transgender. So it's even a smaller number if you throw in 18 and older. Okay, so here we go, like 0.81%. Adults 18 and up. So less than 1%. So she's heavy on the transgender rights. That's all she really cares about fighting for is transgender this, transgender that. Even though less than 1% of the population that she's being elected to represent, assuming she wins, that's who she's only going to work for that, for like less than 1% of the population. So I would say just based on that alone, why the hell would I vote for her when she doesn't give a shit about anybody except apparently for transgenders or people who align with the far left progressive culty agenda that they've got going for them these days. I don't know. All right, so anyway, there's a whole bunch of these different links if you're curious to read further. She's absolutely, completely just like up to her eyeballs in controversy, but I mean, a far left progressive leftist who is like what she like maybe 30 years old, probably in her 30s. Not a big shocker, you know, like the typical like the modern white liberal suburban woman, college graduate, you know, checking all these boxes. Like the only things that I see that she might be missing are, you know, a bunch of tattoos and a septum piercing. Oh yeah, and like some pink or blue hair or whatever. But yeah, other than that, she's probably checking every other box because she just wants to be so inclusive. She wants to be a part of the club. She can't push back against anything because then they'll cancel her. So instead of distracting themselves from Behn and her unhinged stances, Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries are embracing the party's newest rising star. Jeffries' super PAC is spending $1 million to support Behn. The DNC is providing support directly to her campaign. Kamala Harris, DNC Chair Ken Martin, and Jasmine Crockett have all campaigned in recent weeks. Behn is a left-wing extremist who has no business representing Middle Tennessee in Congress. Yeah, dude, this is fucking Tennessee, man. Tennessee! I mean, come on, Tennessee. If you all end up electing this lady, then I don't know, man. Look, I've lived in Florida for over 20 years at this point, and if I were to look anywhere else in the continental United States where I would like to live, if not in Florida, if for whatever reason, you know, if I had to pick another place, it's always been Tennessee. I've always wanted to live in eastern Tennessee. But look, if they start electing these boneheads, then I don't know, man. I might have to rethink that. So, all right. So we'll head down to the next topic. Looks like we probably already got that one out of the way. Claim men can give birth. Yeah, we already got that out of the way. So from the GOP, Aftyn Behn is wrong for Tennessee. Endorsed by the Socialists of America. She wants transgender surgeries for minors. Yeah, that go figure. Supports defunding the police. Yep, we already know that one. And voted for higher taxes. Well, yeah, what Democrat doesn't vote for higher taxes? So let's hear this.
We need everyone to get out and vote. All across our 14 counties, we need everyone to put on their jersey.
Yeah, y'all really need to go and vote.
Stand with us and vote.
Come on, Tennessee.
Early voting goes today and tomorrow.
If you don't go out and vote, you're retarded.
December 2nd,
you're going to let her win.
Because we cannot have a radical in office here. And that's who my opponent is. She's been endorsed by the Socialists of America. She supports transgender surgery for minors without parental consent.
That's all she cares about,
wants to defund the
transgenders.
police, as we've talked about. Wants higher and new taxes to fund her socialist agenda. There are things that are not,
kind of looks
not
like Caitlyn
right
Jenner a little
for
bit.
Tennessee, not right for America.
She wants to be transgender.
And we need folks to stand with us to drive America first forward, get cost of living, continue to decrease cost of living, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to fight for.
Yeah, not that she's probably ever going to have a kid of her own. Maybe she already has a kid of her own. What do I know? But it wouldn't surprise me at all if her kid just miraculously just happened to turn out to be transgender, even though, you know, a child who would identify as transgender at any point in their adolescence is like, what, less than a 1% chance? Even though, oh, hell, what was her name? Charlize Theron, is that who it was? Like both of her kids, like both boys that she adopted, they just happen to be transgender. What are the odds of that? Like, that's like a 1 in 10,000 odds that would ever happen. And I don't know. I guess it just happened. Either that or she was grooming them or conditioning them to be transgenders when they're actually not, which happens to be the case probably the overwhelming majority of the time for all of these kids. So, all right. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to look up one last thing. AFTYN. Because I'm not in Tennessee, so I haven't been following this race. I'm just curious to know, like, what are the odds right now? Is it looking pretty favorable? I mean, is this wishful thinking that the Republican's going to win? Let's see. Democratic nominee. Current likelihood. She's a significant underdog. Oh, that's refreshing to hear. As of November 25th, 1 week before Election Day, her odds are low, but they're not zero. They're estimated around 12%. Dude, go fucking vote, man. Let's crush this number down to 1%. I mean, it's a prediction. So, I mean, like, just because you're going to, pledge to vote, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to literally drive it down to zero, but this reflects a recent drop from 28% earlier in the month. No wonder Kamala Harris is campaigning. No wonder Hakeem Jeffries is pissing away $1 million trying to get her to win, because they want the radical leftists. They want the Marxists, the communists. The Democratic Party as a whole They've already embraced Marxism. They've already embraced all this because none of them are pushing back against it. None of them. Not that I'm aware of, except for John Fetterman. He's the only one that I could think of who's pushing back against any of this Marxism ideology, the socialism, the communism. They have fully embraced it. Even the old school Democrats have seemed to just fully embrace it. And they just really don't care anymore. So they just believe that's the future of the Democratic Party. The future of America is a communist future. They wanted to just buddy up with the Communist Chinese Party. And look, that's what I think, man. I think the Democrats, I think they're taking all the pages out of the CCP's playbook. They're putting party over country. They want to rule everything with an iron fist. They want to seize the means of all production. They've been pretty clear about that for quite a while at this point. So, but anyway, this is very good news, in my opinion. Look, this doesn't guarantee that she's going to lose. I mean, just like it says that, she did have a 28% odds, but recently dropped down to 12%. But anyway, that's on Polymarket, 12% chance and 88% for Van Epps. But still, don't let that deter you from voting. Don't let that be, just don't get that in your head. Just like everybody else always says when it's around election season, just because the candidate that you would vote for, oh, well, he's already got an 88% chance of winning. So, I'm not going to waste my time just standing in line and going to vote. No, dude, waste the time. Just go and vote. Get the sticker. You'll feel good about yourself. Not that everything's all based on feelings. You're supposed to be going out and voting anyway, especially if you're well-read, if you've got, a decent level head, you got a good head of common sense, you should be going out and voting anyway, because chances are you're going to be voting for the right person regardless. All right, so anyway, GOP, the wrong choice for Tennessee, wants to defund the police. We already got all that stuff. So she hates Nashville. She thinks Tennessee's racist. Of course she does.
If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Check out The Swamp, Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern, with segments dropping on the daily. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.